There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines. If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
It is Tuesday. I am Sean Stanley, and we are live from the Miami Garden Studios, my spacious studios here in the beautiful, lovely location of Miami Gardens. As I said, I'm Sean Stanley. It's a Squared Circle Digest. It is the Tuesday night talk, and we got a lot to talk about. Chat already jumping in. AKW beats yo. And then John Rouse is in the house, and he said, "What's up, Sean? Did Ezekiel really get hurt? It looked like did not look good. He's fine. It's a storyline injury. It is what I think is going to happen. I'm going to dive into this deep dive here today into the whole new regime that is the WWE, with Triple H now in charge of creative. And you saw it start at SummerSlam. Sorry, I wasn't here last week. We did Dolphins Camp. Kind of jumped in on the show. EWD Jr. I hope that's right. Or is it EWDJR? What is up, my man? Doesn't the referee make the X sign if there's a real injury? Yeah, now they've blurred that line as well. But usually, yeah, if they hold up the X, that is there's a serious injury. But now that they've kind of blended that into the kayfabe rule as well. But usually you'll see that thrown up immediately, and you'll see the action kind of go away from there. The latest example is the Viking Raiders. Ivar did the dive outside, and when he did, it crushed, I think, his larynx. Somehow he jumped out and caught a foot or something to his throat area, and he's having trouble breathing. They had to do the X real quick and get him out so he could get and he had surgery performed and everything else. But everything did work out. As you know, they are back as well. But a lot is happening. Vince McMahon, let's just get this out of the way right now. Apparently two more NDAs were found, a total of another $5 million added on top of. So now it was $19.6 million worth of hush money from Vince McMahon. So again, that is done. It is a new day in WWE, and I think it has happened at the right time for the WWE. And now they can, I think, make a jump now from where they were. And you're seeing some of the fruits of the labor already. And we're only in week 2. And again, there's going to be plateaus. There's going to be times. There's going to be things that we don't agree with. But we saw right at SummerSlam, the first match was Becky Lynch against Bianca Bel-Air. Becky Lynch gets hurt during the match, separates her shoulder, finishes the match. But after the match, it is Bayley who returns. But Bayley doesn't return by herself. She returns with none other than Dakota Kai, who was one of the releases from the Vince McMahon era. They released her straight from NXT, didn't want anything to do with her, didn't see anything from her. They released her. Triple H brought her back, brings her out with Bayley, Io Shirai at the time, now Io Sky. They bring her out with them, and now they make a faction at SummerSlam. That faction is made at SummerSlam. And then what happens on Monday night? Monday night, Triple H puts even more of his fingerprints on the product by pushing that faction. They're there, and now they become, the top basically heel women's faction for Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, and what they're doing in the WWE. Also, what do? They make one of the smaller titles, the U.S. title, which is held by Bobby Lashley. They start making the title mean something. Holy shit, no way. You're going to make the mid-card titles mean something? Finally? And you're starting to see that fingerprint. They do the whole thing about the history of the U.S. Championship. They do 2, 3 triple threat matches. So it ends up being AJ Styles and Ciampa, who is another guy that Triple H really liked, but Vince McMahon didn't. Why? Because in Vince McMahon's eyes, he wasn't the big ogre. He's a good wrestler, but not the ogre. So therefore, you'll get on TV, but you'll be that guy. Triple H has Ciampa win his triple threat match and then beats AJ Styles with help from Miz outside, of course. Didn't beat him clean. But then Ciampa is being pushed to be in the league to look as a contender for the United States title. Also, and I went back to double check, there were no rematches on Raw. None. Oh my God. The first time in forever where I can't remember where that there was not a rematch. So again, Triple H starts putting his fingerprints on. He's making factions mean something. They're bringing back women's wrestling. Remember, the women's tag team titles pretty much scrapped in NXT and on the main roster.
Sean, I got a question for you as I'm backstage. I'll get back there. But
No problem.
do you think this is Triple H trying to go ahead and gain that trust back with the fans? Because we all know what he did with NXT. And, I mean, for a while, NXT was, what the fans truly loved watching, right? Compared to Raw and SmackDown. And we know, being that they've been on for so long, like it's one of those things like Star Wars. You just give me more of it, I'm going to watch it. But the quality wasn't there. So do you feel like this is just Triple H really trying to get the fans back behind the product?
The one thing that is interesting in the whole thing is I don't know that it's necessarily him he doesn't have to get their trust back on the product. He has to win them over because everybody is so used to Vince McMahon's product. The one thing I was worried was they were going to take a wild swing and cancel everything that's been happening and just start from scratch. They haven't. There's been very mild-tempered, subtle, but yet needed changes. You're seeing some of the guys and gals that were released being brought back. Like I said, you're seeing I think you're seeing a quicker product. And Steve Chapman said they're still using the bouncing cameras though. They are, because Kevin Dunn is still in charge right now of directing the show. I think when he leaves that position, which again, depending on what you hear, he is on his way out. If that does happen, I think you'll see some of that change. I don't think they're going to go away from it 100%, but I don't know that every damn kick is going to be 656 cuts. But again, we'll have to see. And I don't know if that necessarily it's gaining the trust. It's about showing that your product is going to change. That is why I'm talking about the subtle changes, the changes that Triple H is making, putting his fingerprints on the product now. You're seeing the women's division. You're seeing mid-card titles mean something, right? You got Bobby Lashley as a United States champion. You're seeing Ciampa kind of pushed up through the ranks. Let me go out to the chat real quick. Josh says, what's taking them along on bringing back Bray Wyatt? I don't know that you want to rush Bray Wyatt back in. For what? You got to find something that makes sense. You can't, maybe again, you saw how they did Edge and they were kind of bringing him back periodically and things like that. Bray Wyatt is a very wide character. It's very the different things you can do to bring that character back. You could do vignettes. You could put subtle hints left in the ring. You know, it almost reminds me of Sting, right? When they did the Crow gimmick, right? And they had Crow kind of sitting on the rope or in the locker room, wherever they needed it to be. They set it up to where the Crow was there for a while until Sting made the appearance. Maybe you start doing little subtle things like that. They did it last night, and I want to get into other things. I want to try to keep it in a timeline of some of the things that changed. On Friday on SmackDown, they brought back Karrion Kross at the end of the show. Out of nowhere, there was talk that he was going to be brought back. He was very high on Triple H's radar in NXT. Unfortunately, when he got moved up to the main roster, Vince McMahon got his hands on him and made him wear some shield and friggin' some costume and everything else. The interesting thing is when he was let go, he stayed in contact with WWE and with Triple H. And there was a lot of thought going on that Triple H may end up back at the head of creative. And there was a calculated risk that Karrion Kross took, or Killer Kross, however you want to look at it at the time, by not signing anywhere else. But now he's back with WWE, and now I think he's going to be pushed properly. And you saw that with him attacking, Drew McIntyre, and then Scarlett just put the hourglass in the ring, tipped it upside down, and pointed it at Roman Reigns. Your time is, as he always says, tick tock, tick tock. So again, Triple H is going to put his fingerprints on this product, and you're going to see some of the guys that was pushing NXT that when they got up to the main roster, guys that were getting big pushes in NXT, and then get to the main roster and Vince didn't know what to do with them. T-Bar. Dijakovic, I think is his working name. You're going to see him get a change. I guarantee you. Triple H was huge on him. And now he's off of, he hasn't been doing a lot of matches, even at main event or anything else. Kevin Owens came out last night real quick and injured Ezekiel. They are repackaging Kevin Owens. He's going to get a big push with this new regime. The women's division, you're going to see a big push. A lot of talk is going on that already Naomi and Sasha Banks have come back. They're back with the WWE. Haven't seen anything written in stone, but a lot of reports from a lot of, people that in the know say that is pretty much a done deal. Stephanie and Triple H, their whole thing is that women's division. They are very big on the women's division. If they can bring, that back, they got Dakota Kai. You look at what they are building right now. They brought back the women's tag team titles. They're doing the tournament right now. They've rejuvenated. They brought an excitement back, and you're seeing it kind of play out in the matches. It's not, hey, I got to go to work, I got to wrestle, and then, whatever now. You saw it at SummerSlam. That was probably one of the best SummerSlams I've seen, and one of the best WWE pay-per-views I'd seen in a long, long time. And then I seen who was it? I think Boss B was who was in the crowd and the police chasing. That was Dexter Lumis, who is another NXT guy that was cut when WWE didn't know what to do with him. Now, all of a sudden, you saw a segment on Raw, right? There was a car crash in the background. People are looking at it. They're interviewing Kevin Owens. Then they're towing the car away. The police run through when they're doing the Asuka and Bailey, and there's, the police run through, and then they're looking for somebody. It was all subtle things to get Dexter Lumis. And they didn't even, if you watch the show, which I watched back today, they didn't even really, the announcers were kind of like, that Dexter Lumis? Is that Dexter Lumis? They didn't really. They showed it in a overview shot of AJ Styles looking out in the crowd. They pulled him up and they pulled the hoodie off of him and revealed it to be Dexter Lumis. But that was it. That was all they showed. It was very subtle. You're seeing a lot of these things. The Friday Night SmackDown, when it started, what's the first thing you see? A car pull up. It's the Usos. It's the Tribal Chief. It's refreshing the product. The matches are happening a little quicker. They're giving guys more time to do stuff, to work. You saw Ziggler and, oh, man, now I'm forgetting his name. Shush. Golly, why am I drawing a blank on his name now? But when you watch them, Chad Gable, they got time to work yesterday. You watched Montez Ford the Monday before take on Seth Rollins. This week it was Dawkins. Both of them got to show what they could do individually. You're starting to see some Ciampa. You're finally getting them to see him work. You're getting other guys an opportunity and you're building them up. They're finally doing the enhancement talent with Omos this week. Two guys you never heard of. You knew they would get their asses whooped. But at least you're making the monster guys, the special attraction guys be that. And they're not beating up the guy that you want me to believe could be the next U.S. champion in 2 weeks. Because what you're going to do is whatever guy loses there, they're gonna bring up on to put up. WWE needs to go back to the Attitude Era. There's never going to be there's never going to be another chance to do Attitude Era. I don't think that you can get risque, but there'll never be another Attitude Era. People will not allow that. Is Ronda leaving Steve Kaysen? Is Ronda leaving WWE because Triple did to? I don't know what Steven, if you can say that, not sure what you're asking there with Ronda Rousey. I'm not sure what that was. Said John Ross, is it just me or the Tribal Chief reign getting old and boring already? Who can come back and beat this guy? It can be old and boring, but it's also one of those things that I think you can rejuvenate with other. The problem is, who do you have that can contend for the belt? It's Lesnar, it's Lashley, it's McIntyre. Where do you go from there? You haven't built anybody up. They haven't to this point built anybody up that could be that person that you would want to challenge. And if everything is right now, the main target is for WrestleMania 39 to still be Rock versus Roman Reigns. Doesn't say whether it's going to be for a title or not. Yes, sir.
I was going to say, when they build Kevin Owens back up, he can be that guy. I'm a big KO guy. So.
No. I mean, again, that's one of the things they can do. But the problem is you've got to build these guys, back up. Now you've got to make some of these guys be. You saw what they did with Ciampa in 3 weeks. They made him a guy, and he gave Lashley all he could handle. Did Lashley end up beating him at the end? Yes. But you at least built it up Ciampa enough to where you believe that, he had a chance in that match. He had a chance, maybe a small chance, but at the end you're believing that, hey, he really had that chance. And that's what you got to start doing with some of these other guys. There's other guys. There's KO. I still believe Sami Zayn could do something if you work in the Weasel. You got AJ Styles, Karrion Kross now coming in. If you bring Dexter Lumis in, that's another guy that you can kind of end up working him into the main event picture. There's a lot of guys there that you can work into the main event picture. I think Montez Ford, once they break up the Street Profits, is probably going to be pushed up into that main event picture because that guy has so much damn talent. Let's see. Boss B answered that one. Steve Chapman, it was nice seeing Omos in against a couple of jobbers. It seems like we're seeing less of Veer. Not happy about that. One of the things with Veer, real quick, is that there's still a few talents where they're trying to figure out what they need to do with. Veer's one of them. Lacey Evans is another one. KO, again, they're going to repackage. There's some guys and gals there that they got to figure out, and they got to do it right, man, because you can't keep bringing Veer out and beating Cedric Alexander and beating all these guys that ultimately you're going to need to push. You have to have them take on the jobbers. On SmackDown, the Viking Raiders ended up taking on another enhancement team as well. So again, you got to start, I think, figuring it out. And then also, again, you can't swing wildly and just change everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you do that, then I think you're going to set yourself up for some issues down the line. Let's see here. WWE needs to sign Cha-Cha Charlie. He needs to get that hole in the side of his head fixed first. Frankie Fresco. Boss B, AJ Francis was at CCW show slamming Cha-Cha Charlie through the door. Wasn't AJ Francis with the Hitmakers? Yes. Yeah, and again, what was interesting to me was, and again, it's from the dirt sheets. A couple of them I believe in and things like that. But a lot of people now feel like right now AEW is what WWE was. Some of the talent that are in AEW are wanting out to go back to WWE now that Triple H is in control and Vince is no longer in control. Believe it what you will, but a lot of those guys signed a big contracts. Adam Cole, I think, signed a 7-year. There's a lot of guys signed like 6-7-year deals. They're not leaving.
Yes, and those are the guys that in AEW got those pushes. Adam Cole is a perfect example. Like he got that push from Triple H, and I'm sure, he's like, man, I wish I was there now, because he would probably get that correct push, from the WWE. And thinking about it, as you were saying, they can bring back Zayn and push him. What they should do is take KO and Zayn, put them together again, push them as a tag team so they could both start getting that, momentum, I think, again, because that was one of my favorite tag teams when they were in the independents, El Generico and Steen,
Mm-hmm.
So, but that would be something just as a, like, I guess as a fan, like, all right, they can bring those two guys back together as a tag team.
Well, I think there's something in the works with the Usos, the Tribal Chief, with the Bloodline and Sami Zayn, because this week on SmackDown they had Sami Zayn came to help them out, and they're like, "Hey, go do what the hype man did and go get our music," and they kind of treated him like dirt. And he was kind of like, walking around like, So it's going to be interesting to see what they end up doing with that whole, Bloodline Sami Zayn thing and see where it goes and what it leads up to, because you might end up seeing Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, possibly one more added to there to make a 6-man, down the line. Again, there's a lot of things to go. And the interesting thing is, and I will bring this up because I did not think about this until I saw a meme about it, and it was the fact that Cody Rhodes. Remember, Cody Rhodes was the one on AEW. What did he do the first pay-per-view of AEW? He was on a throne, right? The King of Kings, the Thrones of Thrones, and they took a sledgehammer.
It's a shot at Triple H then.
And he destroyed it. Destroyed the throne. Now, the guy that were talking bad about is now the guy running the company that you're with now for 3 years. It's no longer Vince McMahon's company. So whatever Vince and Cody, and they better hope it's in contract and it wasn't a handshake, because it's going to be interesting. But again, Triple H is about making money as well. So I don't know, again, with Cody Rhodes, when he comes back, I think you're going to see some good stuff happen. But it was interesting because it was something I never thought about, as everything else is going on. And I left out Seth Rollins also in the main event area. Again, you can change Seth Rollins around. He can go baby or heel. Right now, I think he's good in the heel position. So
I like him in the heel position as well.
Yeah, we'll have to see what they're. Oh, Steven came back and he said, "Is Ronda Rousey leaving WWE because of Triple H because he insulted her child? Is it true?" I have not heard that. I know right now they're working on the whole thing that she is suspended for. I think I believe they're trying to make her go more heelish. But, and then as Frankie Fresco right below said, I heard people are turning on Liv Morgan. They on SmackDown chanted, "You tapped out of the building." They totally poo-pooed on that promo. Not sure what they're going to do or how they're going to be able to get it back. It's going to be very interesting because this is one change where, and interesting enough, I thought it was done pretty good on SummerSlam. I thought the change was, Ronda felt cheated, which she was at 2.5. Liv taps, which she thinks she wins the belt, but then her shoulders are pinned. The ref didn't see it. She snaps, kind of turns heel. Thought it was a good turn. Obviously, didn't read the crowd right, or didn't read, the room correctly. And it looks like the room is, again, because Ronda Rousey is the bigger name. But I really thought that the room would stay with Liv Morgan. And I think WWE thought, and there was a lot of people backstage that were upset with the way the Liv Morgan went down with the crowd. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do from there, because I don't know how you're going to get, Liv Morgan back in unless you just turn Liv Morgan heel on Ronda Rousey, if Ronda Rousey comes back. But I mean, I don't know, because I did not see that coming. Honestly, I did not see. Did I think that a couple of them would be like, "Oh, you tapped out, this and that," but pretty much the whole damn crowd turned on her during the segment. So it's going to be very interesting. Frankie also said AJ France is a big guy. And another thing is, somebody talked about it up there. The Hitmakers, I think it was called Hitmakers. What was it? What was the group called? I think it was Hitmakers. Yeah, the Hitmakers. Yep. Is that was a Triple H thing in NXT as well. AJ Francis he did a lot of the treasure hunt shows. If you watched A&E, he did a lot of the treasure hunt shows as well. That might be another gentleman that might be coming back. I won't say that he is coming back, but might be somebody that might be coming back as well. So another big guy that come back in. Let's see. Oh, Boss being them talking about CCW.
So, Sean, I can't see anything on the Ronda thing. I've been trying to look for it. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know where that
I can't confirm that.
I just know it's part of a storyline. And then again, Ronda's signed up to take on so many matches, just a way to give her some time off. She's suspended. I never heard anything about the Triple H making fun of her, of her daughter or anything like that.
Yeah, we're unable to confirm that here, so everyone knows.
We'll keep looking and see what happens. But let's see. Sean, AEW has a chance of making a move. Frankie, you know what? I'm gonna go into what I think AEW should do right now. AEW needs to become the best version of AEW that it can be. Screw thinking you're going to compete with WWE right now. Screw it. Be the best AEW. Look at your product, figure out what the hell you can do better, and make it better. Don't worry about what WWE is doing. Worry about what you have, worry about keeping your people happy, and worry about, your house right now. Because if you're going to think that they're going to make a move and go toward WWE, I'll just go with this. And again, I always tell you, SmackDown, I don't count. I count Raw, which is on USA, and I count AEW Dynamite on TNT. Why? Because they're both cable channels, and you can get an idea of where they stand. Raw's ratings 2 weeks ago was 2.2. Last night was a 1.96 overnight. Okay, so they went down from a 2.2 to a 1.96. Dynamite, or actually the Wednesday before last, 976,000. Didn't even make it to 1 million. And the last one that happened, which was last week, 938. Again, not even to 1 million, and they dropped. They need to worry about their own damn house. And if the reports I'm reading is Tony Khan is kind of, in the back, kind of spazzing out because he's put so much, he's got so many damn jobs. He's running everything. There's no departments. I know they extended the talent relations department and some of maybe the creative now. But this guy's been trying to do this for 2.5, 3 damn years. They need to get their shit in line and just worry about AEW right now. Don't worry about the bullshit competition because it's not even close. It's not anymore. At the time, WWE was coming down and AEW started going up, and I thought, okay, maybe they could go with Raw. That ship has sailed because Vince McMahon is no longer there. Will it come back down? Most definitely, yes. But if Triple H keeps hitting, solo shot after solo shot, and then if he comes out and hits a goddamn grand slam, dude, it's not even close right now. AEW needs to worry about their move needs to be clean their house. Because right now, there's a lot of people, and then I'm reading there's reports like the guys that didn't resign. Stu Grayson, if you watched, he did a promo, he did a podcast where he went on and he was like, dude, I would give up my 100 AEW dark matches for 15 minutes on TV. So yes, you have dark, yes, you have elevation, you have those YouTube shows, but the guys want to be on TV. They want to be seen on TV. You had all these guys for 2 years and during the pandemic, and they helped build up the AEW product. And a lot of them now, looking at it, and again, maybe it's not what's happening, but looking at it from the outside, a lot of those guys, shoe fly. We're bringing in bigger names. Well, those names ain't doing shit for you right now. Because the only one that has changed the number a little bit was CM Punk when he was on, and he got you to 1 million. And he got you to 1.1 once. Other than that, the only big number is their paycheck. Because it's not showing anything on eyes on your product. And I go back to one thing that I always said is I think they cater too much to their hardcore fans, which if that's what their business plan is, then kudos to them. But you're not going to pick up the casual wrestling fan with the product you're putting out right now. You're not.
And I think you nailed it on the head there, Sean, especially with CM Punk. Like, we all know, like, the hardcore wrestling fans wanted to see him for how long? Right. So we knew when they got that name, like they knew that was going to be one of those. All right, we know we're going to get the views for that because people are going to want to see that. But you make a very valid point with that. And I agree with you. They have to just focus on their show. And I think when I hear Jericho interviews, that's kind of what he says. Like, he's like, look, we're not trying to be them. We're just trying to give fans another, another thing to watch or giving you.
Yeah, but see, I think Jericho's saying that, but I don't think that's not what is the thing. I think Jericho understands that, and I think Jericho wants that to probably maybe be true, but that's not true. It's not. They are watching what's going on. They are trying to, because again, if you're not, then you're not signing Claudio Castagnoli. You're not signing Bryan Danielson. You're not signing CM Punk. You're not signing Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish. All these guys you brought from WWE contracts over, and then you've released or not. I'm sorry, they don't release anybody. They let contracts expire. So they don't re-sign anybody. So as their contracts expire, then see you later. And half of them, one of the things I noticed with Tony Khan is that apparently if you're not being talked to, you're on your way out, which should probably be, easily figured out. If nobody's talking to you from AEW, you're probably on your way out. But ultimately, it looks like when there's no contact going on, contract's going to expire and you're out. That's the way it seems to be going with most of the guys. And then again, Brian Cage was one of the guys' contract coming up. Guess what? He gets the call from I want to say it was Christopher Daniels, and told, hey, we're going in with your option. We're keeping you around for a year. How many times have you seen Brian Cage on TV since? I saw him once on an ROH, the Ring of Honor pay-per-views. That's it. but he's still under AEW contract because he's one of the guys that they think, okay, they're not letting go of guys that can go back to WWE and get back in the mix. They're not. It is starting to. It was interesting because when I saw the headline, I was like, interesting. They are starting to be what WWE was for some talent. That's the feeling when you go there. Because again, Tony Khan, and maybe it's not a fault of his. Maybe it's nothing, again, you have 2 hours of TV a week. 2 hours of TV. Because Rampage, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, Rampage, if you want to call that hour of TV, but it's usually recorded after Dynamite, so it's not even a live show most of the time. The Battle of the Belts, guess what? Rampage was live, and they recorded Battle of the Belts before it, so the Battle of the Belts is the recorded show that they played Saturday. And when you know results, you know what your ratings look like? Your ratings look 375,000 people watch Rampage. 375,000 people.
Can't.
And one of the things that I read the other day was AEW Dynamite finally finished number one on cable. You know why? Because TBS did not do a major league. I'm sorry, not TBS. ESPN did not do a Major League Baseball show that week. Every week they play a Major League Baseball game. Major League Baseball games are outdrawing AEW.
And we know MLB ratings aren't that high either.
No, I mean, I get it. They do put probably the best game, on there. So you might get, but what I'm saying is they need to worry about themselves, worry about their product, and then Hit Row. Thank you, AKW Beats. It was Hit Row, not Hit Makers. Thank you. But when you look at it, I think AEW needs to worry about their house. And when they clean that up, we'll see how it goes. Kane's 1989. What's up? Long time, buddy. No problem. Good to see you, man. Hope you're well. C-Man looks like he just dropped. Let's see here. Steve Chapman. I like Lacey Evans and her new nasty side. Well, you might see a different side of Lacey Evans. We'll see what goes on there. Let's see. Kane's, what's up? Let's see. Heard after SummerSlam on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, again, some of those YouTubes are right. Some of them are wrong. And some of them, you know what? You can't confirm. So I'm not going to say that is not the case, Stephen, but I have not heard that. Let's see. That's Frankie Fresco says AEW needs Connor or Jorge Masvidal. We'll see. We'll see what they do, because the interesting thing is Dan Lambert hasn't been on in the last couple weeks, and he actually showed up at the CCW show, and you guys didn't tell me about it. Frankie Fresco, Boss B, Dan Lambert kicking Fonzie with a chair, the slow motion. Hopefully Lambert didn't hurt himself. Let's see here. Let's see what else we got here. Do a lot of the wrestlers do these? Yeah, a lot of the AEW guys will do indies as well. It's usually in their contract. Let's see. It's usually in their contract. They can do shows, and again, as long as the indies pay them, they go. They'll go. CCW's had a lot of guys, and then also, Gangrel being the head trainer there now, he trained guys out in California. So a lot of those guys, Jacob Fatu being one of them, comes in just to, to work and things like that. So you have a lot of that, and then he did the school with, I think, Rikishi in California. So you have a lot of people that maybe work with Rikishi. They'll send them over. What was he doing at CCW? How much do they? I mean, again, it's whatever their appearance fee is. I've seen some, again, you've had some go for 5,000 appearance. You have some that'll go for, some of them will work and do, 2,000 travel, like 2,000, and then has to be a 4-star hotel. Everybody's got different things worked out to to what they do. And again, 2000, that's probably on the upper echelon, but you got some guys that, yeah, but a lot of them are, again, when they're sponsors, like what we do, our segments, you can have, I'm going to throw it out there, but you can have Sports Grill a sponsorship on a thing, but really what you're doing is you're using that money to bring in said talent, and then another thing that they do, sometimes they'll work out a deal with them is they'll do a Q&A or even a seminar at the school and charge $25, $50 a person. And then all that money will go to, not saying that it always happens that way, but sometimes they'll do a seminar. They'll charge 25 to 50. They'll keep, if it's 50, they'll keep 20, 30, go to the thing. Or if they agree to give all the money to it, you can work out that way as well. There's a lot of ways, man. A lot of ways, and again, I mean, back in the day, there was guys on cards where I was like, how the hell did this guy get on this card? I mean, hell, we had Mr. Perfect on a card. And I was like, to watch him walk into our dressing room was like, holy shit. He's really here. Because I heard them say he was going to be there. Did not believe it one bit. But he was there. And you see those guys and it's like, boom. I mean, hell, we did the match in the Davey Rodeo Arena. It was Dusty. It was Terry Funk, Abdul the Butcher, Kevin Sullivan. We had Christopher Daniels. On the card at that time. Eminem, Mercury was on the card. Hell, we had AJ Styles on one of those cards at the Rodeo Arena. We've had Jerry the King Lawler. I mean, when you look back at, hell, this card right here, and I'm probably going to rip it off. I can't get it off, but this was me against Roderick Strong. Adam Cole was on the card. Mia Yim was on the card. And then when you look back, I mean, dude, you have guys when again, a lot of these guys at that time are coming up, and then Dan Lambert's just, dude, he's a promotion machine, man. He's a promotion machine. American Top Team he's just out there working his ass off. Think about it. He did, what was it, $500 a player, or was it $5,000 a player for NIL? Every player on the roster. I mean, he's just out there working, man. That guy works, and he loves pro wrestling, man. He's very knowledgeable on the history of pro wrestling. And again, a lot of these guys, man, I don't know what they charge, but I mean, nowadays, I don't know what they charge. And again, a lot of them are not going to you're not going to get rich as a pro wrestler. I can tell you that much. Can you make a good living? Yeah, but a lot of times it's when you go to Japan. When you go over to Japan, you can make some money. You go to Australia, some of those tours there, you can make some money. Let's see. Do these wrestlers ever say, yo, this guy's good, and help you get your names out there like networking? Yeah, I mean, a lot of them, you got guys, sometimes, there's WWE that'll send the scouts out. Jerry Lawler, when he's there, he's scouting as well. If they're under WWE deal and they're like Legends contracts and things like that, when those guys are there, they're watching too. They're not going to be there to be like, hey, I'm here to watch you and this and that. They might be there to watch somebody else. But as they're watching that person, it's just like when football, man. When the scouts come to watch that 5-star guy, if somebody else catches their eye and they're like, hey, that might be a guy under the radar, it always happens, man. There's a lot of times guys go to shows and end up, like, hey, you know what? You caught my eye. There's networking. There's networking. It's the same thing with training, man. The one thing I learned was I was lucky where I got trained. Because a lot of those guys, I was trained by Cliff Sheets, who was trained by Rusty Brooks. Rusty Brooks trained, umpteen guys, Norman Smiley, Gangrel, Billy Fives, who's big in Florida. So as you get those guys, now you start working with those guys, and you start, again, you network in between That's why training and where you go to train sometimes becomes very important, because you can train with some guy for $300 to $500 and he's going to throw you around on a mattress or whatever, or in a backyard. But what happens after that? Where I trained at in, let's see, where, in Fort Pierce, they had their own federation there. So as you graduated, you got to work. And then, you got to get to work and get your name out there, and you get to travel and you work, That's how I found out, Rusty had a school that was probably, 10 minutes from my house, but I'm driving an hour and a half to Fort Pierce, to train. And at the time, and so it's one of those things.
Anyone from the Heart Dungeon. I mean, it feels like anyone that would come out from working with the Hart family as well kind of have that same
a lot of those
thing.
guys, again, when you look at the Hart Foundation or the Hart Dungeon and all that stuff, you think about it. Neidhart, Natalia, you got Davey Boy Smith Jr., Tyson Kidd. Those were kind of the last guys and gals that went through, that school, and where all of them ended up in WWE. And now they're doing good tours and everything for themselves. I mean, Tyson got hurt, but he's working as a producer backstage for the WWE Women's Division now. So, and Davey Boy Smith Jr. is still, wrestling as the British Bulldog, So, I mean, it's one of those things, man. When you get trained by those guys, and look at all the guys that came out of that school, Jericho, all those guys.
I was like, prior to all that, yeah, man.
It's
you got eyes on you when you go to one of those
especially
recognized.
back then. But back then too, it was who you knew. Back in the territory days, it was who you knew, because again, the business was more protected than ever back then. I mean, it was funny. I was watching who the hell was I watching the other day on one of the shoot interviews, and damn it. Trying to remember who it was, but they were like, nobody had wisened him up, at the time to the business. So when he first went in there, he was like, I was pounding people, and then people were pounding me. He's like, it would turn into real fights, and that's the way it was back then. You earned the respect, and then when you got the respect and you were brought into the business, then you earned to learn what wrestling was. Hell, Hiro Matsuda broke Hogan's leg or arm or something like that, because that's what it was back then. It was just, hell, even when I was getting trained in 98, 99, the other thing about wrestling schools too is you have to watch dirtbags too, because people will take your money and the freaking school will be gone the next day. It's like that too as well. There's a lot of people like that as well. Let me get back in the show before I go on a tirade. I'm sorry. Let's see. Where were we at? Frankie, that CCW show was really packed. It was that. Yep. Yeah, I'll hit the pump. And when is the pump? No show. Alex Chamberlain got his belt, beat Jackal Stevens. Alex Chamberlain used to do a Russian gimmick. Ask him about that. Red Devil Fight Club. Ask him about that. Let's see. It's not like that now. No, it's not like that now, man. It's the only bad thing about it now is that anybody with a little bit of money can start a federation. You know what I'm saying? Like they may end up just running one show and that's it or whatever, but that's what the problem started becoming, is people with money. And again, no fault of anybody's, but sometimes some people don't deserve to. Let's see, The Rock has that show on Vice. I think it's about it. Yeah, they signed up $7. And the people from Dark Side are going to do that on territories. August 20th. All right, I'll be there, Frankie. August. Oh, wait. I got to double check that. Hold on. Let me check the schedule on that one. I can't remember. I don't know if is that a Saturday? I don't know if we're at the Dolphins game that day. I think they play is it the Raiders that weekend? I want to say something is on the 20th there, but let me get back to you. I might end up meeting you out there. What do you think of the trios tournament? I mean, they're setting up for it to be pretty good, but I think they're going to set up for it to be the finish of Adam Page and the Young Bucks against Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish. I think they blew their load a little bit too early on that one.
Confirm for you. Sorry, yeah. August 20th, Raiders and Dolphins.
Okay. All right. Let me see if we're covering that game. Because I might not be needed at the game as much as at the practices. I'm doing the audio and video. Let's see. One of the things I wanted to say, which I already did there. The one thing, though, I do like about what AEW is doing a little bit too nowadays is the fact that it is Ricky Starks getting a push, Powerhouse Hobbs getting a push. I like that. I like the breakup of Team Taz, put them on solo missions. I think Ricky Starks, it is in Miami, Frankie. Ricky Starks can be, to me, could be a star. I believe Ricky Starks could be a star. Powerhouse Hobbs, I believe, can be a star as well. Superstar, I think they both miss a little bit. Powerhouse Hobbs, to me right now, with the way they're pushing him, again, he's being pushed as a monster, a menace. So he's not really showing any personality. I think if he can show personality, he could become what Big E was. And what hopefully Big E comes back as. When Big E hopefully gets back from his neck injury. Hopefully everything goes well and he comes back. But Powerhouse Hobbs, to me, that build, everything that he has, if he can show a little bit of charisma and everything, I think Powerhouse Hobbs could be something, man. I really do. And I'm glad that they're pushing some of those guys, because I'm not going to lie, I got worried with all the talent that they're signing. And that some of those guys, Ricky Starks, Hobbs, some of those guys would be, pushed down like everybody else being pushed down. I'm glad to see they're getting some TV time. I heard Big E is okay with retiring if he can't come back. Yeah, I think he's at peace with what he accomplished in his wrestling career. And I think when you look back at it, he was the heavyweight champion. He had a very full career, man. I don't think there's anything where you can look at his career and be like, could he had a longer run? Maybe, but you know what? He had a run. And a lot of people don't get that. And I think he's okay with everything he's done in his career. And rightfully so.
Do you think Big E would be good for commentating? Put him in the booth?
I don't. The only thing is sometimes it might get. I think he could do if you bring him out for a couple matches or certain matches. I don't know for 2 hours if you could. He would just distract you, I believe. But again, they have him out now doing the talent evaluations when they were at SummerSlam in Nashville. He did a lot of the talent evaluations. You can work him backstage as a producer, or you can even just have him be a host. Have him out there in the crowd and just going crazy with the fans and have him be like type an ambassador type thing. The guy that injured him is still in WWE. Yeah. Yes, he is. He's actually teaming up with Sheamus. He's with Sheamus and Butch, or at least he was. I don't know what they're doing with that group right now, but yeah, he was there. And again, I think there was two things with that move. I think it was, Ridge Holland didn't pop his hips good enough and quick enough to get him over. And I think, he didn't, rotate over as quickly as maybe he should have, and he landed right on his head, man. It's a dance. It's a dance, man. And I mean, hell, Draws got paralyzed from powerbomb. The ring, D'Lo went to do the running powerbomb that he had done many, many nights. This time the ring apron or the ring, was a little bit looser than normal, and he slipped and down goes Droz, man, paralyzed. In a blink of an eye, man. It's one of those things, man. It's that's one of the things where me being a bigger guy. I mean, look, when I first got into wrestling, I was about 230, and by the time I got out, I was about 285, between 285 and 3. But when I was 212, 230, between that range, I was still doing the same stuff I was doing when I was 285. I wasn't doing the high risk stuff. There's enough shit that can hurt me in wrestling. I have to trust that a guy can pick me up, hold me up, and not drop me on my head. I'm not diving off a top rope. That if somebody with, oil or something before me, the match before me, and it's slippery, you put your foot on the rope, and then boom, you're done. It's one of those things, man. It's just like sometimes it's like you just take chance after chance after chance, man. And that's one of the things with like Bryan Danielson with WWE. He was upset that they wouldn't let him do some of the things. And you know what? I mean, sometimes you got to be protected from yourself. Also, by the way, forgot to tell you, banned words, wrestler and wrestling, are now allowed to be said in WWE again. Triple H is taking them off the banned list. Wrestler and wrestling, you can say it again in WWE. Say it with me. Wrestling and wrestler. Oh,
wrestling, wrestler.
Thank you.
Gonna get it out there.
So
I got you. I got you there.
Yes, I feel so good. Wow. Why did you gain weight? Actually, I started hitting the gym harder. And the funny thing is, I hit the gym harder. I got noticed. I got to go to a tryout, but I was 280s looking. I was too block looking. I looked like Scott Norton, they said. So I didn't fit into the cut guy because my diet sucked. I didn't have the belly like I have now. I had a flat belly, but it wasn't cut. I wouldn't say flat. Let me rephrase that. It wasn't nowhere near the keg I have now. I was able to fit in some good stuff. But and at that time I was 33. And at that time, again, this is a different time and a different age. 32 was old in WWE, at least to get signed. If you got signed, before that, you're kind of grandfathered in. But there are a few that get signed after that as well. Because again, they were like, how are you going to make us money? That's the one thing they wanted to know. If you could make Vince McMahon money, he didn't care. He's going to sign you. Vince McMahon thought you could make him money. They're going to make money. And it's one of those things, man. It's I got a great time, man. I got to meet I was actually up there when I went. EC3 was the one who got signed, was the main guy that got signed. There was a couple other people that got cut and everything there. But also Gangrel was signed long before that with the Brood. When he was there. When he was, again, it's one of those things. I mean, all you need to do is have a cup of coffee with the WWE and be able to say former WWE star Sean Allen, and then you can start getting, little appointments all over your book to wrestle. And now it doesn't. I mean, nowadays though, hell, Adam Cole to me, I thought he was making a living. Him and Roderick Strong were making a living wrestling pretty much before they went to WWE. They were doing, Ring of Honor, and then they were doing some independent shows here and there. Want to go on vacation? No, where do you want to go on vacation? Well, let's see what's going on. If this guy wants to book me from August 8th through the 15th in Australia. Well, I guess we're going on vacation in Australia, aren't we? It's one of those things, man. Wrestling is great, but a lot of people, it's not as, unless you're signed to WWE, it's not, maybe to AEW, maybe but you're not gonna make a crazy living unless you're hooked up with some tour overseas. The most money I made was when I went to Peru. That was the most money I made. What's up?
No, I got a question for you, Sean, in regards of as we see like these guys like Pat McAfee coming in, Logan Paul, and being like, most wrestling fans come in hardcore, right?
Mhm.
Or they've been with them. Do you see WWE like bringing those guys and trying to reach out to like the audiences they already have? Because
Yeah, no, that's
someone like
exactly what it is. It's the WrestleMania. It's what Vince McMahon did with WrestleMania 1. He brought in Billy Martin. He brought in Muhammad Ali. He brought in Aretha Franklin. He brings in all these stars. Every pay-per-view or WrestleMania, there was the one they brought in the NFL guys, or they had the NFL guys in the Battle Royal in WrestleMania 2, I think it was, in Los Angeles. They had Perry, a lot of the offensive lineman guys were in the thing. It's one of those things that's always happened in wrestling. You always have, your Jay Leno. Hell, Jay Leno, think about it, when he was teaming up with DDP, Carl Malone,
Carl Malone was that. Yeah.
The thing with, Money Mayweather, as Miami Sports Fanatic Show says, again, they bring in a different audience, but that's how you get that casual wrestling fan. It's that fan that's like, I don't want to watch that, but you know what? Hell, SummerSlam, freaking Logan Paul goes out there and blows the goddamn roof off the place. I wanted him to fall on his damn face and slip and look like a damn idiot. And he looked like he'd been doing this shit for years. And now he's like, hey, I want more of these. So now he's going to be around more. But his whole, whatever, millions of fans sat there and watched SummerSlam. And then that brings, look, you're not going to get all of them. But if you get a few of them, you've boosted your audience more than what you already had. And that's the one thing where, I think AEW missed the boat with, and again, I don't know if it was American Top Team or UFC or maybe something else there. I always thought Masvidal should have been involved in the match when they went to the thing and they stole the BMF heavyweight title from the American Top Team. I always thought Masvidal should have been the one that came back in and got involved in the match somehow to get that belt back. Frankie Fresco, Sammy and Conte were married. Yes, they are actually married. They're not getting married. They are married. I saw the picture of Tony Khan doing the 360 with them. Yes, they are married. They got married over the weekend. I need a hat like yours, Sean. No problem. Send it to me. Hit me up in the DMs. With all these NXT wrestlers coming back, does that mean Vince has no influence right now in the WWE? Frankie Fresco, Vince McMahon is at home on his pool, sipping on a pina colada with no ties to the WWE right now. None.
I'm just going to say it one more time for you, Sean. Wrestling and wrestler.
Thank you. That's words to my ears. But no, but seriously, he has really it's Triple H creatively. Pritchard's still there. I love you. Brother Love is still there in the background. Not sure how much longer. We'll see. But he, I believe, is head of creative right now. Triple H is head of talent relations. The worry is you don't want the same guy running both. So I think maybe he's more there as a title guy than anything else. Miami Sports Fan says Shaq. Yeah, that's another guy that's come in and done that a lot. I think Triple H gave Paul. Yeah. It was funny. It was on his podcast. He was. They said, what was your first impressions when they said Logan Paul is coming into WWE? And he was like, who the hell is Logan Paul? And he said it right to his face. He was like, so it's kind of, it was interesting because, you think that, I guess, everybody pays attention to everything that's social media, but you got people that don't, man. Do you ever think that would have ever happened? 6193 ASNF, what are you talking about? Can the talent in the NXT carry the WWE? Not all the talent, but you got Braun Breaker. I think he's going to be a good force in there. You got Carmelo Hayes. I think that's a good force. You got some of the women on there right now. I think it's pretty damn good. Let's see. My enforcement, I have an idea for your future show, Sean. Why don't you play some reruns, WWF, and give some take while we go down memory lane to me when Rattlesnake, NWO, Young Triple H was the best shows. I would love to do that. Unfortunately, I would have to cut every one of them damn videos out because unfortunately, and maybe it's just our channel. I don't know. But YouTube loves giving us freaking the business. We play a clip from Twitter and YouTube just dings us out the yin yang all the time, man. I'm telling you now, I get tired of that sometimes. That's why we don't do a lot of it now. And a lot of the stuff that we do play, I end up redoing so that we can play it and not get hit on it. It's not a bad idea. Maybe I can try to figure out a way to do it. That's why my intro also, believe it or not, my intro cannot be played right now because my intro music is apparently bad juju. So that's why we don't play that right now. And I just pop up on your screen and say boo. That's how I do it. So, but yeah, man, it's, let's see. Yeah, there's a lot of work to play it. A pause is difficult, my man. It is. But also for us, like, I mean, before this one, I had the, what was it? When we were at Untitled Radio, I put the audio and the clip up. I had Dusty Rhodes when he did his thing. You know, he's like, I've met with kings and queens and dined on pork and beans and things like that. Dinged. Ding. 3-second clip. Dinged. On a side note, can we add Omar Kelly to a wrestling segment to wrestling? Do you want Omar Kelly to talk wrestling, or do you want Omar Kelly to come on and talk Dolphins during the wrestling show? Is that what you want, Frankie? Or you want Omar Kelly breaking down AEW Dynamite? I need to know. I'll reach out to him and I'll see. I don't know if I can get that one sponsored by AJD. I don't know if AJD will sponsor Omar Kelly on a wrestling segment. We'll have to see.
By the way, Sean, for 619 on that, I'm going to take a shot. I think he was referring to Vince no longer being in control, like thinking, would you ever believe that day would come?
No, I said that before. Yeah. No, I said that before. I never thought the day I came on when that happened, I said, I'm going to say something I thought I would never say. Vince McMahon no longer controls WWE. I honestly, hell, I thought from his deathbed he would still be controlling it. I'm not lying to you. He'd still pull the string somehow. And honestly, up until I saw SummerSlam and some of the people coming back, I still thought he was going to be pulling the strings. But when I started seeing Dakota Kai come back and you see Karrion Kross coming back, that's Triple H putting his fingerprint on this product. So that's when I was like, okay, all right, a lot of the stuff I'm reading is accurate. Let's see what else we got. I wonder if he knows anything of wrestling. Omar Kelly probably knows nothing of wrestling. You know, he'll probably know like Stone Cold or The Rock or something. I'll say back in the Attitude Era, because everybody, whenever you say wrestling, everybody's like NWO, The Rock, Stone Cold. That's usually their wrestling knowledge. Everybody thinks they can throw something out. We can do an X's and Omars on wrestling. Yes, Brock Lesnar on the tractor, X, and then an O where he jumped onto Roman Reigns. Let's see, if you add like some transition and pause the video like every 2 minutes and give commentary, you should be good. Yeah, all right. I'll see what I can do with that. That is a very good idea. Maybe we can do one, break down one match, a show or something like that. Yeah, I like that. And also, I'm gonna reach out to Omar. I'm gonna see if we can get him on. I don't know what sponsor I'll get him. Maybe I don't know. We'll see. I'll talk to him. Maybe I can steal one of the days he talks Dolphins. We can bring him on and talk wrestling instead. Just kidding, if you're watching. Just kidding. Don't text me. Don't email me. Nothing like that. I'm kidding. I won't take Omar. Boss B, Triple H, different vision. He always has. Triple H, again, remember Triple H came from, independent wrestling. He worked through it. Maybe not as long as a lot of people have. but he did come through that, that system. He understood that system, the hard work, and things like that. The thing with Vince is he wanted those larger than life characters that he could place in and give the 5 moves to and build that guy to where they're that guy. But it doesn't always happen, man, because when I look back and I think about it, I'm like, okay, think about when they had their best classes. And this is before NXT. This would actually be Ohio Valley, maybe. Yeah, OVW. You had Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, John Cena, Batista. Well, I'm missing some people. You had the Haas brothers at the time. Shelton Benjamin was there. I mean, when you look back at some of those guys, I mean, they were trained to be monsters. They didn't learn a lot about. Think about Batista debuted, I shit you not, as Devon Dudley's. When Devon Dudley was doing Brother Devon, or no, the Father Devon, or whatever he did the pastor gimmick. Is when they broke up the Dudleys for a little bit. Remember, Batista was the one carrying the devotion box behind. The box where he put the money in. He was the one holding that. That was his first gig in WWE. They didn't know what the hell they were going to do with them. They just said, that guy's larger than life. We need to get him on screen. That's what they did with guys. He's larger than life. We need him to do something. Brock Lesnar was already, when I told the story because I heard it on Jim Ross's, Jim Ross talking about on a podcast. The first time Vince McMahon saw Brock Lesnar, he fell in love with him. That's why Brock Lesnar is still around. It was the University of Oklahoma against Minnesota. It was a wrestling tournament. Or no, it was the Big Ten wrestling tournament. Jerry Briscoe went there and was talking to some of the guys about becoming WWE talent. One of those guys was Brock Lesnar. Vince McMahon and Jim Ross were sitting there. Gerald Briscoe was talking to Brock Lesnar, and JR said, Vince looked at him and said, "Who the hell is that?" And JR, being a smart ass, said, "That's Gerald Briscoe." And Vince said, "Not him, jackass, the other guy." And he said, "It's Brock Lesnar." And he's like, "That's my next WWE superstar." Vince fell in love with guys. If he loved that person, he's going to, Lacey Evans, he loved that character. He loves the gimmick. He was hands-on with Lacey Evans, which is why now that whole gimmick is getting repackaged. A lot of the stuff Vince McMahon had hands-on theory, I haven't seen him in 3 shows. We'll see what happens. Reverend Devon. Thank you. It was Reverend Devon. It was the gimmick. Oh, will Shane McMahon come back now? Triple H is in his head person. I don't think, and again, Shane McMahon rubbed a lot of people the wrong way at the Royal Rumble. And a lot of people, I mean the boys and girls in the back. Not even necessarily executives and things like that. Like, the number he came out to was supposed to be Randy Orton's. Randy Orton came out a number later because Shane McMahon came out to the number he wanted to come out to, because Shane McMahon was producing the match as well. So I won't say that he's not coming back, but I think right now they have a very content locker room that's happy to be there and happy to be working and doing what they would like. I don't know if they throw in any more ingredients right now. I think it's Nick Khan, it's Stephanie McMahon, it's Triple H right now. Those are the three doing anything. We're not going to mix up everything else. Let's see here. I'm going to do a couple more. And, man, we've been going for a while here, an hour and 15 minutes. What's your favorite old school matches? Any Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, Horseman, Von Erich's Freebirds. A lot of the, like when you had a feud that meant something, that was blood boiling, those to me Rock and Roll Express versus the Midnight Express. Those matches, dude, I love that. Fantastic against the PYTs. Any of those things like that. Barry Windham, Ron Bass back in Championship Wrestling from Florida. Oh, man, dude. You get those stuff? Mike Graham, Kevin Sullivan, before Kevin Sullivan became the devil as he was transitioning. All that stuff. Good shit. Good shit. Storylines. Go ahead.
Ric Flair, Steamboat. Those are like just my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
You know, not that anyone in the chat cares what I think about them, but just gotta throw it out there. Sean.
Everybody cares about what you think about, man. Everybody cares. My first fact: the sports line need to get better. Find a way to mix the old school with the new school. They did a good job transitioning from Hogan and Bret Hart, et cetera, new guys. Yeah, but also I think those guys got it. Those guys, you know, again, here's one of the things too, I think that happened in the wrestling business is it transitioned from, you know, you had guys, you know, and again, Roman Reigns is from a family of wrestlers. I get all that stuff. Orton from a, you know, family of wrestlers. They understand the business. I think what has happened is a lot of guys and gals maybe don't understand the business pro wrestling. They get, you know, the moves and the move set, but they don't understand the business of pro wrestling. And that's one of the things that I think is missed on a lot of why you don't have those easy transitions anymore is because you don't have that next star is not there. You have maybe one. Think about with the Bret Hart, what you're saying there. You had Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, The Rock. You know, I mean, Stone Cold. Did I say Stone Cold? I can't remember if I said Stone Cold. If I didn't say, then Stone Cold. Any one of those guys could have grabbed the damn brass ring and ran with it. Right now, who's that transition piece? You got Roman Reigns. You want to throw Drew McIntyre in there? You can push Bobby Lashley. I mean, but again, now you're reaching for people, whereas there, I just gave you 5 right off the top of my head, and there's probably more underneath there. Any one of those could have grabbed it and ran with it. But everybody understood the business of pro wrestling. It's not just a paycheck. It's knowing and understanding everything. Think about it, even after that ended, right? Orton, Cena, Batista, you know, go on there. Who after Cena and Orton, who has there been? Again, Seth Rollins, I think, is one of the guys as well. If they give it to him, I think he could go with it. We'll see if that changes now. But with the storylines and everything else, it's also on the wrestlers themselves, the performers themselves who understand the business side of it. It's not always, you know, I got to look good for my social media fans and everything else. You have to understand the business and what's getting out, you know, both sides. It's a payoff. What's the payoff? Let's see. Which wrestler do you think got pushed too much but didn't catch on with fans or wasn't as popular as they thought? I'm
going to say Roman for a little bit because Vince trying to push him down our throats. And he was only
he got the Cena treatment. Yeah, he got the Cena treatment. Yeah. You're going to end up, you know, and the funny thing about it was you almost had to start liking him because what was left.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's like it's that point to where it's like, man, I mean, I guess you could say Roman, but with the Shield, I think the Shield was over.
Wait, but to your point, with the Shield and the 3 together, it works. But I feel like when they broke up the Shield and when they were trying to push him, because it looked like or felt like that was Vince's guy. That was one of the
it was 100% Vince's guy. 100%.
So
he was John Cena.
Yeah. So I felt like it took a while for fans. I mean, the younger fans have always seemed to be, Roman fans, but I feel like the older hardcore fans, they felt like it was being pushed down their throats. And, that's why you were getting all those Roman sucks chants when he
Yeah.
was the baby face, but now that he's gone heel, I think that turned a lot of people too. Cause, I feel like he does play a pretty good heel. And when they brought in Paul, I think that all helped him as well. Like, it tightened up his mic skills because I think that was why he was probably not liked as much, possibly.
Yeah. No, I think you can do with all that. I think you could go also with Rocky Maivia, right? In the same sense.
Yeah, in the
They
beginning,
brought him in and thought he was going to be the greatest thing, and then it was die, Rocky, die. It was, Rocky sucks. It was everything else, and until he went to the Nation, and he was able to more be himself. I think, man, I'm trying to think like to think of somebody that was. It's kind of hard too with WWE because they freaking pipe in noise too, so you can't really tell unless you're there if the crowd's really. I mean, you can see if a crowd's sitting on their hands, but I think another one is I think with Lacey Evans just here recently, and I don't think it was any fault of her own. I think they thought she would get the baby face applause because of the Marine Corps thing and the way they were building the character. And everybody kind of went the other way, and then they end up turning her heel out of nowhere, which, again, caught a lot of people off guard too, because all of a sudden now, last week she's talking about, the military and everything else. And then I think a lot of it also goes on to how Vince cared about you in a way. Vince gave enough about you. He's going to push you until you finally catch on. If he doesn't, you're going to be Cedric Alexander, unfortunately. Guys, I think should be getting goddamn pushed. Ricochet, for the longest time, wasn't getting pushed to the back burner because Vince sees it as, oh, this guy's not getting anywhere or whatever. But again, I don't know what they're looking at because to me, Ricochet always gets a pop. Every time I've watched him wrestle, but I'm trying to think of like big name guys that maybe they brought in that didn't catch on. I mean, I can think of some heel guys back in the day, the Sultan, who they brought in to be like the big heel guy, never caught on. And then they changed his gimmick and they brought him back as Rikishi.
And Rikishi caught on. For sure.
Rikishi caught on, yep. Let's see. What is there? Dr. Isaac Yankem, right? He didn't catch on as much as they wanted to as Jerry the King Lawler's personal dentist, but then they brought him back as Kane, and now he's a two-time mayor of Knox County, being Glenn Jacobs. I mean, it's different because I think a lot of the time, at least nowadays too, is if you're not over, you're never going to see that spot. I don't think they bring guys in, like they brought in Shane Douglas back in the day. They brought him in as, oh hell, what was his gimmick? Was he the Scholar or something? They brought him in the WWE, and he's only there for one match. He lost the Intercontinental title, and then he was gone. I can't remember what they called him. The Dean, Shane Douglas. The Dean, Shane Douglas. They brought him in, and I think they thought he was going to be over more than what he was. And when he didn't, they had him drop the title, and then he was gone. He was back to ECW. Let's see here. Miami Sportsman says Goldust was pushed too hard and wasn't as popular as they thought he would be. See, I disagree with you there, Miami Sports Fanatic. Again, Goldust was, let me see how I can say this. It was a chance for Dustin Rhodes to distance himself from his dad's shadow as Dusty Rhodes. That was the whole thing about the Goldust gimmick. And Vince McMahon came up with this idea and said, hey, Dustin, do you want to do this? And Dustin said he threw all these words at him. And he was like, sure, I can do all that. And not knowing what most of the words meant, he wrote them down. And And then he said he went back and looked them up afterwards, and he's like, how the hell am I going to do this? But it's one of those gimmicks. I think it was just ahead of the time. I think Razor Ramon helped everybody understand what the gimmick was supposed to be. Roddy Piper as well. I think with that gimmick, it needed to be with certain, it's just like a baby face. You have to have the antagonist. Without Ric Flair, is Dusty Rhodes Dusty Rhodes? There's always that antagonist. And I just don't think that right babyface character was there until Razor Ramon, with the heart painted on the chest, and he undid the middle, and you saw the Razor Ramon, all that stuff. I think that's when you started seeing, and maybe that's also when Dustin started feeling more comfortable. And also Savio Vega as well was another one that helped him out with the gimmick, because he was not comfortable with the gimmick at the beginning. Vince wanted him to go out there and smack guys. He wanted him to be exotic Adrian Street. I don't know if anybody knows that name in championship wrestling from Florida, but he was way ahead of his time. Flamboyant, came out with the manager, Miss Linda, way ahead of his damn time. And that's what he wanted Dustin to take it to that line. And Dustin was not comfortable with that. And Savio Vega was the one who made him become more comfortable with it by making him, he told Dustin what to do. Dustin did it. And then he came back to the curtain, and Vince is like, that is the Goldust character. Sorry about that. Sabu when he went to WWE. Yeah. But again, it's just like, I think anybody that left where they were at and went to WWE, if you're not Vince McMahon's creation, I don't give a damn who you are. For the most part, you're not getting pushed. You're not going to be that guy in Vince's territory. You're not. Chris Jericho is probably one of the main guys, believe it or not, that I've ever seen elevated as much as he was, but he went over there disgruntled at WCW and became a Vince McMahon guy in a way. Ballsby said Ricky Morton wrestled in Melbourne a few weeks back. Dude, he's wrestling a lot. Colin King's ring. She did a cage match, huh?
Do you think Taz didn't get like a super big push, but Taz was able to.
Taz got a huge push. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's true. Well, coming from ECW then to WWE.
Beat Kurt Angle.
Yeah. No,
Kurt
true.
Angle had never been beaten, and he beat Kurt Angle. He tapped Kurt Angle out.
That's one of those. Match. But I guess it wasn't Vince's creation as Taz, but he was able to take it and push it. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, he brought him in and he had big, he got the big push, but then once people didn't really pile on, that's another one. But again, it's one of those guys where I don't know that it's that they didn't get over, or that just Vince gave up on their push. Because if Vince gives you a little bit of time, like with Taz, he does that with Kurt Angle, then he starts, then he starts with the Taz is a little small, he's a little short, he's not my idea of a champion. There's the kibosh. I think it goes to where it's more not necessarily that they're not living up to expectations. I just think that's where Vince just kills your push, because he doesn't believe in what you're doing, and he doesn't believe in the gimmick or the character. Lex Luger, yeah. I mean, he came in as what, the narcissist? That didn't get over, and then he went to the All-American. He slammed Yokozuna on the 4th of July. And, Lex Luger's a good one too as well, yeah. But again, it goes to where Luger wasn't Vince McMahon. So once he didn't get that, that pop right away, or what Vince thinks, then it's, poo-poo. It's poo-poo. It's if you're not a Vince McMahon, somebody put RVD got pushed. RVD got pushed to the moon, but you know what? The people reacted to it. And he kept getting that push until he messed up. And then he didn't get the push anymore. I think they did good with Orton Batista scene in NXT. I think is the name when they came in the scene, and then those storylines are much better. That was OVW, Miami Sports Fanatics. It was OVW at the time. Yeah, AJ got over, but I just think AJ has that. He's like what RVD was, right? You have that cult kind of AJ following, the cult RVD following, where they're going to get over, and then Vince is going to be okay at that point because he believes he can make money with you. But like what they said with Luger, I think Luger's a great answer. He was the narcissist, didn't get over. They poo-pooed on it. Let's get him. Let's get the Lex Express. Let's sit him all over America. Let's have him slam Yokozuna on the 4th of July. And not really the response we got. Okay, we have him. You know, I think it was him and Davey Boy Smith went over to the Royal Rumble at the same time. So both of them are declared winners. And then what do you hear of Lex Luger after that? Showing up at Nitro. That's the last thing I remember after that. He showed up at Nitro, first night of Nitro. Hey, that's Lex Luger. Hey, look at that. Do you think WCW stars came into WWE at the wrong time? I believe it was during the Attitude Era. WCW had some good characters. Well, 6193ASNF. I believe the ones that wanted to come in came in when they wanted to. Because remember, not everybody was signed to a WCW contract. Some were signed to Time Warner. The WCW contracts, Vince McMahon kind of purchased. But your big stars, Goldberg, Hogan, your big money names were all signed to Time Warner. So that's why a lot of them didn't debut until afterwards, because they were sitting at home getting paid. Your Booker T's who were signed to WCW deals, they either WCW or Vince said, hey, you know what, we're going to bring your contract on. Or they said, no, we're not going to bring you on. No, we're not going to bring you on. No, we're not going to bring you on. By the way, AJ Styles was one of the ones they didn't bring on because AJ Styles was signed to WCW. Yeah, Sting was another one that was signed to Time Warner. Anybody basically that made money was signed to Time Warner. And the reason was because when Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were signed, they had deals where their agent was very smart and was actually in the business himself at one time, put kickers in there, which said anytime you sign a wrestler to making more money than Scott Hall or Kevin Nash, their contracts get brought up to match whatever that contract was. They didn't, at that point, they were like, hey, bring over Bret Hart. You're going to sign him to what? What are you going to put, $6 million a year? Oh, okay, good. Guess what Scott Hall and Kevin Nash get? Kick up, boop, they get $6 million a year too. So WCW like broke themselves out of business because you can't sign these guys to deals like that. But they wanted to win that war so much, they put that deal in there. And when I heard that, and I've heard stories about it, and then they talked about it on one of the shoot interviews Kevin Nash did, and he was like, yeah, I mean, dude, when we had the kicker in there, I was like, hey, sign whoever you want. We don't care. Our deal's going to get escalated. Escalator clause is what it was called. I'm sorry, escalator clause. As soon as somebody is signed for more money, you get escalated up to that money. I wish I need to put that crap in my clause. Let's see here. You know who gets to push Moxley and they need to move on from him being the champion? I hope Jericho beats him. Yeah, I don't see that. I think you're gonna get Moxley Punk. You'll get Moxley Punk, and then Punk will be your champion. I don't see Jericho Punk being what Moxley Punk being. I think that one will be better than Punk Jericho. I just think at this point, man, I get it. I think Moxley's, not saying he's the greatest guy, but I think he gets more. I think he's done a little bit too much of the hardcore stuff lately to where a lot of people are a little bit on the fence on him. So AJ was also on TV for 10 years plus with TNA. Yeah, and he was on WCW as well. I mean, some people don't remember him being on there, but he had just signed with WCW. They were called Air Raid, and they were taking on the Young Dragons, which was at the time, I can't remember, was the Young Dragons was Jamie Howard. What was the Japanese star's name? I forgot his name, but yeah, but AJ Styles was under his WCW contract. Vince McMahon let him out. Vince McMahon could have signed his contract over like he did Booker T and all those other guys. Yeah, didn't do it. And then he went there to TNA and had a great career for himself. Do you wish WCW was still around? In a way, I do, because I think I might have been able to at least be on. I could have probably made that roster. They weren't worried about, those guys could have looks. You didn't have to be a muscle bound guy. I didn't have to be on 60 pounds of juice. But in a way, I guess, yeah. In a way, yeah. I wish in a way. But let's see, Greg Wood, what's your thoughts on the AEW's women's division? Man, it's a roller coaster. One week I'm like, dude, they're doing great, and the next week it's like, what the was that? I mean, I watched. Oh God, was it this week or last week? I watched about 5 or 6 botches in a sequence of moves, and I'm just like, oh, just throw a clothesline, do something, But man, I love Britt Baker. I love Jade Cargill. I love all the women they have signed to contracts. Thunder Rosa as a champion, I think, is good, but I think they need to move the title off of her. I think they have all the talent there. It's just not working out in matches sometimes. It looks very herky-jerky, like there's no fluid motion in the matches. It's weird, unless it's like, has Kaz Hayashi. That is who I was trying to think of. Thank you, Boss B. Yeah, Jamie's son. I remember Jamie Howard was part of that. He used to come to our school and train. So that's how I knew, I remember him being in a lot of those guys. Do you know why they pushed and not Marty Jannetty? Shawn Michaels was prettier. I mean, he's the boy toy look, right? I mean, at that point, I've heard stories. And I've met Marty at good times, and I've met Marty at bad times. So some of the stories I believe. But Marty is a pretty good guy, all in all. But I think it was the business decision. I think they saw more talent in Shawn Michaels, and then they just said, that's the guy we're gonna hook our ball to, and let's hope we didn't pick the wrong one. And I think Marty Jannetty would have been around more, but I think he took it as a personal jab. At least, when you look at some of the documentaries and things like that, I think he looked at it as a personal jab because he thought they would always be a tag team. And I think Shawn Michaels had more loftier goals. And I think at that time, Marty Jannetty was okay with just being tag team. And I think Shawn Michaels was like, I want to be that Hulk Hogan guy. I want to be, that. I want to be that. I don't want to be what I am here. I want to be that. I'm tired of being, the Midnight Rockers or the Rockers or the whatever. I want to be, Shawn Michaels. I want to be Ric Flair. I want to be the man. And that's what he ended up being. Yeah. No, the barbershop was one of the greatest team breakups ever. Probably one of the best ways I think I've ever seen a split, when they did that. They're all holding, and then he took a steps aside, bam, super kick through the window, and the rest is off to the races. Frankie Fresco says, I hope Sasha Banks goes to AEW. Frankie Fresco, got bad news for you, brother. Don't think it's happening, my friend. I think you'll see Sasha Banks back in WWE with Naomi pretty damn soon. She had an obligation this weekend to go to C2, was it C2E2, whatever that thing is, or
C2E2 in Chicago. Yep.
in Chicago. And you know what happened there, by the way? You paid $130 to get a picture with her. Social distancing. 6 feet. You had to stand 6 feet from her. $130 to stand 6 feet from her. I could have got you that photo. My goodness. It was her and Naomi, by the way. They're the only two that had the social distancing. Frankie Fresco, my indications, and again, I'm going off reports, but the ink is pretty much dried. Looked like it might have smeared a little bit when I wiped over it, but it looks like it's kind of dry on the contracts. Again, Triple H has changed everything because Triple H and Stephanie has a vision for the women's division. Vince McMahon, 19.6 million reasons he doesn't care about the women's division. He'll give you an NDA and he'll send you off. That's what he thought about the women's division. Triple H and Stephanie are really dedicated to the women's division. And that shows already. Bayley, they give the faction, right? First night back on Raw, they make the main focus of the women's division Bayley, Dakota Kai, Io Sky. This week, Raw, main focus, Women's Tag Team Championship. Right? The 6-man now going on at Clash at the Castle. That is what they've done. They are focused on the women's division. That's what Sasha Banks, that's what Naomi wanted. That's what they weren't getting. You gave them tag team titles and then you just said, they don't mean nothing. We just want you to carry them around. And they said, but to you, buddy. And they walked out. And again, I think this is going to hurt AEW. And again, AEW needs to focus on their house, clean their house, fix their house. Now's the time to go out in that yard, fix all the trees, fix the fence, fix the doors, fix everything else. Get that damn house in order. Start building up what you have there now. Worry about yourselves. Then when you're finally maybe competition, then we can talk competition. Until then, because Triple H and them now have this, they're okay. They got this on lock. They're okay right now. Hey, will the shine wear off? Pretty sure at some point it will. But right now, as I said, Stephanie and everybody's just slobbing up and Triple H is saying, knocking them out of the park. All right, here we go. Ryan Keipo says we're going to get another situation like we did Punk and Cena. Whoever wins his tournament for the women's tag titles at the end. Here comes Naomi and Sasha. I can see it. Or I could see maybe a tag team getting injured at the end and not being able to compete. I can see Bayley, the Dakota Sky, and then maybe attacking the people they're supposed to verse in the finals. And then being like, oh, we're going to win the titles. Just hand them to us. And then Sasha Banks and their music hits, and it'll be them, going after it. Or, as you said, Ryan, either way, you can make it, can go pretty good there. Can the women hold it strong in WWE? Hell yeah. Look, both organization women's rosters developed a little differently. Both of them are kick-ass. Both of them have great talent. I think, again, with WWE, you work together more consistently. So the fluidity of matches and everything is there because you're doing dark matches. The one thing with AEW is you're showing up on Wednesday and you're wrestling. Maybe you get to go out and you do a little bit of rolling around and things like that. And maybe you go to a school and you work on it a little bit there But I think some of that shows. I think some of that shows that, the fluidity isn't there. Hell, you have Saturday, whatever, Sunday stunners. That's all them working together, figuring out things. So when they get the TV, everything looks tight. AEW doesn't have that. Let's see. Ryan says 100% agree on your take on AEW. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that. Apparently, guys like Myro are pissed with their position right now. Dude, I would be very upset with them. I mean, what are they doing? That's the thing right now, and that's the problem that Tony Khan. Look, man, it's great to have a deep checkbook. It's great to sign all this talent. You have 2 damn hours of TV. 2 hours. And you're also promoting ROH, your other company, on those 2 hours of TV sometime. It makes no damn sense to me. Go to TNT, go to the Discovery, whatever the hell they're called now. Tell them, hey, I need 2 more hours of TV. It can be an hour on this day, an hour on that day. Make an ROH TV and make another hour for your guys. But you got to find some way to get these guys on TV. YouTube is great. But these guys want TV time. Frankie Fresco says, send them to ROH. I mean, what are you going to be on a pay-per-view every 6 months, every 3 months? Sean, is Rhea trying to copy the Fiend character? No, Rhea is being herself. That is one of the things that you see Rhea. I think she's becoming comfortable with who she is as a performer now because she's being her damn self. And that's one woman I left off the whole damn list because now she's doing the Judgment Day. I almost forgot about it. But I believe that, just like when we were talking about the Goldust character, I think now she's found Judgment Day is her. It's amped up, just like with Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? He was Steve Austin. You amp it up 1,000%. Now you have Stone Cold. I think Rhea is finally comfortable with where she is, and I think you're going to see a hell of a jump from her. And I hope so, because damn it. I think she deserves a lot more than what she's getting. Let's see. If you really want to build a guy like Wardlow, a feud with Andrade or Miro would be great and a great way to build him as the next big thing. It would, man, but I think look, man, I love me some Orange Cassidy. I do. I think they messed up the Wardlow run when they had him take on Orange Cassidy. It should not have taken him 20 minutes to beat Orange Cassidy. If he's the monster Wardlow, like you've been building him up to be. That's what I'm going to say. I'm not saying he had to squish Orange Cassidy. I'm not saying he had to go in there and be a squash match. But it should not take 20 minutes to beat Orange Cassidy. I believe that lost a lot of the Wardlow luster when you look at how that was booked. That's just my opinion. Let's see. Kane's 99. I'm glad she finally saw it. She has a lot of potential. Where are we at here? QT Marshall got promoted to VP of show and creative control coordinator. Yeah, no, he's in charge of most of the creative side. Christopher Daniels in charge of talent. I mean, listen, man, AEW has a lot of good people where they need to be. I think Tony Khan needs to take the damn handcuffs off, ask for help, get help from the smart people, and Tony Khan is the business guy. Ultimate power goes to him. But let the guys that are smarter than you, Big O talks about it with Stephen Ross. Let the football guys do the football. Well, let the wrestling guys do the wrestling. I get it. You want to be more involved. Get involved. It's your promotion, but you can't run everything. You're going to drive yourself freaking crazy. And if all the reports are right, it's starting to happen now. He's backstage running around, yelling at people and this and that, and people are getting tired of it. Why? Because they haven't been on TV in 2 freaking weeks. Now you're going to give me 5 minutes? And then what? I'm off TV for another 3 months? You got to make people feel wanted. And that's what you're getting in WWE now. And I'm going to end it on this. That is the main difference of Triple H running WWE? He's making people feel wanted in the workplace, right? It's not Vince McMahon anymore of like, this is my company. You're going to do it. You don't like it? Okay, you're fired. No. That shit doesn't work anymore. It's making it a fun workplace to where they can go in there, have fun, make it happen. Because when you're able to be your damn self, imagine, look the last 3 weeks, what's happened, the change on WWE TV. If you can't see it, then you got blinders on. I'm sorry to tell you. I don't care if you're the biggest AEW mark or whatever you want to call yourself. You can't tell me that WWE product hasn't been better the last 3 weeks. And on the reverse side, you can't turn around and tell me that the AEW product is getting a little bit staler each week. That's the difference. They've almost flipped the way they're going. And I guess I kind of I'm not sure what I did with my hands there. It did something. Let's see. Sean, who is writing the storylines now that Vince retired? There's a team. It's Triple H. It's Tom Pritchard. There's a whole bunch of creative minds involved in all that. I know it's headed by Triple H and Bruce Pritchard, I believe. That's happening to Brian Cage. I think he poses on that. Yeah, I mean, it's what happened to all of them. What's going to happen to all of them guys? Yeah, he made an appearance on ROH pay-per-view. He was in the buy-in. Brian Cage is in the buy-in of an ROH pay-per-view, and that's it. That's the only time I've seen him wrestle twice for AEW ROH in 2 years. 2 years, you got a talent like Brian Cage, and you can't find something for him. That's somebody you could feud Wardlow with. 100% agree, but when AEW gets fully healthy, we'll see how the show is in the fall. Ryan, I agree to disagree, because nothing changes until they get more than 2 hours of TV. Because all that's going to happen then is that you're going to have CM Punk in a long match. You're going to have Bryan Danielson in a longer match. John Moxley will come out there, Wheeler Yuta. You'll have the Blackpool Combat Club, and you'll have the Elite. You'll have Undisputed. One women's match. What changes? That's every week. There's only so much time. Nothing changes until you put more shows on. And with that being said, yeah, I mean, you got Kenny Omega. You're right. You're right, Chad. You could come out and say Kenny Omega.
Yeah, I was going to say Kenny Omega, but he's one I feel, I mean, he was starting to get that push, but it definitely doesn't feel like he's got that backing that he had in like New Japan, like since coming over to the States. You know,
I mean,
like,
remember, he's an EVP in this group.
Yeah, I know.
Omega. And again, but that even goes more to my point, because now you have Omega coming back. Maybe you can throw him in when I said Elite.
Mm-hmm.
But again, now you're adding more guys into. You still only have 2 hours.
Yeah, it's still a lot.
You still only have 2 hours, man. There's not enough time to put over all that talent, and you're going to start losing these guys because they're not going to want to resign. For what? I'm going to resign with you to what? Sit at home? You're going to start losing some of your younger talent. So sooner or later, you're going to have to start using what? Maybe some of the guys you're using for Dark now, which is great for some of the enhancement talent, because they're going to be getting used in spots that will help them out tremendously. But you're going to have a lot of the guys that are, want TV time or think they can. If WWE even gives them a whiff, they're going to probably go for it, as long as WWE stays on the trajectory it is now. And Ryan, I'm not saying 3 hour show. I'm not saying add hours onto the 2 hours. What I'm saying is go another day. Put it on at another time. You can have an hour show on Thursday, an hour show on Saturday. You can put it on somewhere else, but they could. No, dude, right. YouTube, what does YouTube do? I mean, I get it. It's great. It's great platform. But when you're a wrestler, you're not being seen on YouTube. You want to be seen on USA. You want to be seen on TNT. You want to be seen on, TBS. You want to see on. You want TV time, man. Because when you're wrestling on Dark and Elevation, guess what they did? They recorded you at a soundstage on a Saturday when they lined up 170 matches and gave 4 hours of time to Universal Studios to record at a soundstage. And though you wrestled in front of the same people 3 times because you recorded 3 different matches. And now, great, they edited it up and now they put it out on Dynamite and Rampage. Yes, it's great. It's great TV. It's great ring time, but it's not TV time. Let's see here. Let's see. Add an hour of age. Ryan says, who said YouTube? Well, what shows Dark and Elevate Rampage? I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Dark Elevation. I'm sorry, Ryan. I'm sorry. I stand corrected. If they could elevate Rampage and boost that to 2 hours, but they would have to change the night. They got to go to live. Rampage has got to start being live. And Ryan, I apologize. I messed up. I thought you were talking about Elevation Rampage. I was looking at the wrong. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the YouTube shows, but they'd have to change Rampage to a different. I don't know. You want to go head to head with SmackDown. That's not a good idea. SmackDown on Fox. Everybody gets Fox. So maybe they move Rampage to a Saturday night and go do the old TBS day 6 to 8. And then you wrestle on Saturday live, for 2 hours. Maybe that could, that might be the answer there if you do it that way. But they can't stay because even right now, Rampage every other week, I believe, is recorded. It's not live. So they've definitely got to go live with it just to, again, and by no means do I mean change it 3 hours. I can't take another 3-hour show. And hell, I'm doing a 2-hour show and I can't even take this right now. I'm about ready to call it to the end here. But yeah, I mean, if they could do, like the Saturday night show 6:05 kicks off on your TV. Heaven forbid there be a damn Braves game. I got to cut me off at 7:05. I only get 1 hour of wrestling. Then they go to Braves baseball. Skip Carey and all them guys.
But I think you're on to something though with them. Even if they only take an hour for ROH, and they could use that kind of how WWE was using NXT, to get those guys that exposure, because a lot of the guys, when they come up through NXT, when they get to the main roster, everyone already knows them, right? And they already have that following behind them. Yeah. So,
well, the reason, and again, man, now you brought me up with another thing. So you got to quit talking.
All right, I'm getting out now. This is it.
No, you're fine. But the thing was, when they first purchased ROH, everybody said it was going to be their developmental, like what NXT was. Problem is, you put FTR as your tag team champions. You've got Claudio Castagnoli now as your heavyweight champion. It's AEW guys are representing all your major titles. You're not developmental anymore. You're not treating that as developmental. And then you've signed the Briscoes to a long-term deal. You're not making that developmental. You know what I'm saying? Like you've totally changed what you had originally said. Let's see. Frankie Fresco says, "Nah, keep Rampage for Fridays and just extend an hour." But they did. So what Frankie, aren't you here in Miami? Show comes on at 10 o'clock at night. What the hell are you going to do? 10 to midnight? You're definitely not going up against, I don't think it's smart to go against SmackDown. You don't want to go head to head with SmackDown. No. I mean, head to head with Raw, you throw out there and be like, hey, 50-50. At least you're going, TNT and TBS. You're trying to battle, TNT and USA. You're trying to battle TNT versus Fox. Kane's 1989. Sean, I must say, you and Big O make an awesome team and always enjoy your shows. Keep up the good work. Well, Kane's 1989, we enjoy you, my friend. Thank you. How would you feel about them live on a platform like HBO Max Saturdays at 6? See, again, you go with the streaming and see, wrestling is a very very, it's funny. How can I put this? A very fickle sport because the guy's got a lot of egos. So when they say they want to be on TV, it's because they want to see themselves and their family see them on TV. It's about ego. It's an ego-driven business. It really is. It's about controlling that ego, but it's an ego-driven business. So I think I think for the company, it's a better thing, but I don't know if the wrestlers would see it that way. It's the same thing as what WWE did when they went to WWE Network. The wrestlers were very upset. Why? Because they got paid for pay-per-view buys. When you went to streaming and somebody pays $9.99 and you get pay-per-view for free, $9.99 doesn't go as far as $49.99, 100,000 buys. And I don't know if you read Miro, what he did, and this is the last thing I promise this time, Chad, and I promise tell your wife I'm sorry and everything else here. Miro said that with the pay-per-view money, he used to buy a property every time he got pay-per-view money. So how much money do you think they used to get in the pay-per-view checks? He owns 22 properties. Every time he got a pay-per-view check, he went out and purchased property, at least one. So think about that. And right now, I believe AEW probably has a percentage chunk into their pay-per-view buys right now because they are still selling it for $49.99 a pay-per-view. So maybe some of these guys are getting a cut of that, which is making them happy. You go to and again, I know you're not talking necessarily just, but I think if an HBO Max is going to stream anything, they're going to want the whole library. They're going to want the pay-per-views. They're going to want everything. Nobody's going to be like, just give me one show so I can stream on HBO Max. They're going to want, and again, HBO Max would be who they go to because that's under the Time, Discovery, Warner deal thing. HBO Max is their streaming service. But I think they would want the whole library there and not just one show. And then you're getting into people's money, and that might turn out to not be so good. We'll see. We shall see. I want to thank everybody that tuned in tonight. It went a lot longer than any other show, and I'm going to blame C-Man for that.
You blame me. It's okay.
No, but I thank everybody's tuned in tonight. Let me see. Let me get here. Frankie Fresco, Ryan Keipel. Hopefully I said that name right. Kane's 1989, Boss B, Steve Chapman. Let's see what else we got here. Going through here real quick. If I miss you, I apologize. 6193 Greg Wood.
Shout out to O. He was in there too.
Yeah. Orlando, how's it going? Thank you. AKW Beats. My dad. Thank you, sir. Miami Sports Fanatic Show. Make sure you check them out. Give them a listen. They're very good as well. Talking little Dolphins. Who else? What else we got? Man, chat was busy today, man. I thank you all. Steve Cassan, he was on Cassan. Hopefully I said that correctly. Man, I like it better when they got Boss B. I love those. Man. I don't like when they got a whole name. John Ross was in the house. Josh was in the house. And C-Man, thank you, sir, for being here today. And I will say this, in the words of the great Gordon Soley, so long from the Sunshine State.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts,